This would be a good quick time to just give you a tiny peek from kind of an overview of the space, the studio that I'm in, right? So I have the fortunate ability to have a nice big space here. I've got a big graphic wall, big whiteboard back there, and a TV. And so if I'm teaching and walking around, then wireless is paramount. These 4 screens in the front are how I manage my show mostly in the real estate. So for us, I've got the Zoom call up here. I've got the chat over here. I've got, the spotlight. I'm in dual screen mode in Zoom. So, and then I'll usually have a browser window or something open here as well on this screen. So I'm using these 4 screens. 2 screens have the Zoom call. 2 screens have other windows that support the Zoom call. So here's the 5, here's the overview, and then I will dive in on them, okay? So here's the 5 things: bandwidth, audio, lighting, camera, and background. And I think so. Internet speed is one part of bandwidth, but it's not the only part of bandwidth. Bandwidth also means your computer resources. So, and the reason I'm telling you this, and the reason this is the #1 item on the list, is because if you don't have a lot of internet bandwidth available, or your computer is really bogged down with a bunch of other things, then you're going to have a hard time tech hosting, because when you tech host, oftentimes we have to manage multiple things on the screen that are happening, but also that the platform you're using, and I'm going to focus in on Zoom. I think, well, we're using Zoom today, and I also think out of all the platforms, Zoom is really the most functional for a tech host. Audio is the second one. Audio is more important than video. When you're on a call like this, even if you couldn't see all that well, but you could hear me clearly, you can stay engaged. But the moment you can't hear me clearly, you're out of here. So if you improve your lighting, you're going to look better. If your speakers improve their lighting, they're going to look better. So here's a couple things to know about lighting. And you probably know some of these. So this is reinforcement to help some of these, reinforcement to help your speakers. Being in front of a window makes it really hard for the camera to get a proper exposure and proper balance with all that light behind you. So try to avoid backlit situations. Instead, turn around and have that light, that window coming towards you. Natural light is like the very best light. In fact, most of studio lighting and we're trying to mimic natural lighting. So if you can get natural lighting, that's great. That's
very clear, practical. I love it. And I want to let everybody know that all I have in my studio is a light, the camera on my computer. Oh, not all of this.
This is not the primary device that I would use in a meeting, but this is a secondary device I would add with no audio to help people understand where are people moving around the space. So this is a 360 camera. I have it in the middle of my room. And watch what happens. If I move over here, right? So my desk is over there. I've got this big whiteboard behind me, as you see, and then this TV came back in the other side.
I love it.
And this one is kind of fun because it has a couple of different views, one of which is this one, which is a little better view of the room because it fills the space better. Yeah. And to answer your question, there's 8 cameras I pulled in specifically for this event, but I would typically use 3. I typically use my main camera. I would typically use my document camera. This is one I use pretty frequently, especially as a visual practitioner. And then I'd like to be able to show the audio, or like to be able to show the speakers kind of the space that I'm working in, especially when it is a sales call and I'm trying to show them, no, I have a digital studio I can work from. And then every now and then when we want to geek out, having the behind the scenes view.